Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you've been following along, you know I've been deep in the ideation phase for my next big indie game. Now, this is a really exciting time for me, but also quite a challenging part of the development process. So I'm trying to find that sweet spot between what I'm passionate about, what I'm capable of, and what players actually want to play. So today, I want to talk about 3 core game ideas that I've been wrestling with, so to speak. And I've gone back and forth on these a lot, weighing the pros and cons of each. And I'm not going to tell you which one I've ultimately chosen. So you'll have to join the Discord if you want that reveal, at least to get it early. But I thought I'd, do a video to dive into what the concepts are before actually announcing the game in, say, a couple of weeks, once the development has gotten underway and I can talk more conclusively about it. So, saying that, let's get straight into it with idea number 1. So, idea number 1. The first idea I explored really came from a place of market research. I was looking into how to market a game by Chris Zukowski, and I kept seeing that certain genres just perform exceptionally well on Steam compared to console. And the big takeaway from this was crafting, building, strategy, and simulation games are immensely popular, and he defines it as the meta game genre to do on Steam. So to add on my own twist, I thought, what if I throw in dinosaurs and horror? Dinosaurs are always a hit, and adding horror elements just amplifies that appeal. So, the core concept for this game is pretty cool. You play as a tribal leader in a prehistoric era, and you are literally the last human on Earth. The dinosaurs in this world are not just big lizards, and they are far more dangerous than history suggests. They specifically hunt humans. So that's the horror element. Your tribe is gone. Everything is gone. There is nobody apart from you, and you've just been stranded on a new tropical island. So what is the catch here? Every single night, the dinosaurs will come for you. So, your mission, or the game's mission, or the reason you're playing, is to rebuild humanity. You'll need to grow your population, construct defenses, and even tame dinosaurs to fight alongside you. It's all about resource management and survival. The ultimate goal is to survive until night X, or whatever night that will be, where a massive boss dinosaur appears to wipe out humanity once and for all. Defeat it, and the island is finally clear, and you've just established humanity's first true safe haven. Now, the pros are pretty simple here. This game has a high chance of commercial success. It hits so many popular genre buttons, and according to Chris Zukowski, this is the meta game to make as an indie developer for Steam. However, saying that, there is a very, very big elephant con in the room. The scope. The scope of this game is absolutely massive, and it might currently be beyond my solo development capabilities, and to be honest, could just become a throwaway project. Now, my only real source of reference for a game of this size is Thronefall, and I will come onto this later. It is a very good example of what game I'm kind of trying to make. But for Thronefall, it took a while to make. I don't actually know the exact number, but definitely longer than 6 months, which is how long Powerfall took to make. As well as this, Thronefall was developed by 2 people, and saying that and adding on to that, the developers behind the game are very experienced. They have years of experience. So I need to take into account that. That was my phone. I apologize for that. I need to take into account, am I going to be able to even make a game like this? I think it's something that I could do, but it would take years to make. But it is still very much possible. Saying that, let's move on to idea 2. Now, for this next idea, I thought this is something that many of you might have been expecting when first looking at the channel, because it's essentially what I built this channel on, creating a biblically accurate Angels horror game franchise. And after all this time, I genuinely feel like I have the skills to take a shot at it. Definitely not making my dream game. That maybe, we've discussed that in another video, but definitely not at that stage yet. But starting to dig into the idea that I've been thinking over for a couple of years. So I was looking at the graph and comparing game genre earnings and the number of game released since 2019. I will put this up on screen. I've already put it up, but I'll put it up on screen now as well to demonstrate what I'm talking about here. Horror games sit very comfortably in the middle, and Chris Zukowski even suggests that every indie game developer should consider making a horror game. They often have a smaller scope and can offer a higher return on investment, which gives all of the reason for an indie developer to make one. So going into this, my idea for this kind of game is a cabin analog horror style of gameplay. You wake up in a remote cabin in the middle of a forest, and inside there is a bed and there is a TV. When you sit down on the bed next to the TV, a tape will start playing an analog horror video that reveals your predicament. You have 3 days to find 3 other tapes left by previous sacrifices. But here's the terrifying part. A biblically accurate angel will be hunting you relentlessly as you try to collect them. But if you do collect all 3 tapes, they will reveal a door code that leads to a cave, your supposed escape. But once you enter said cave, you realize the truth. Entering the cave is the sacrifice. The game would have 3 difficulty stages, impacting tape distances and adding new behaviors to the angel each day. So the first tape would be, say, right outside the door. The second would be a mile away. And the third tape would be on the other side of the forest. The longer you're outside, the more chances you have for interacting with the angel. And as I just said, every day, as the distance widens, new behaviors will come into the angel. Now, this is a very much a simplistic kind of game loop. It's what a lot of horror games use. It's basically a key and a door. But having biblically accurate angels, or having a biblically accurate angel hunting you, as well as involving analog horror, these are 2 things that aren't particularly covered in games, and that would be the twist or the unique selling point in this game. Now, the pros. This has by far the smallest scope of the 3 ideas, which is a huge advantage for an indie developer like myself. I could make this in 6 months, and I can be confident in that. However, saying that, the cons is, compared to the other 2, and especially the third idea that I'm about to come on to, I worry about this game's replayability. Once you've played through it, that's kind of it. And I don't know how long this game is going to take to finish, 30 minutes to an hour experience. I'm looking for a longer product to give to players. But saying that as well, another pro to add is this would be great for YouTubers and getting streamers to play this kind of game, because it's just a horror game and YouTubers love horror games. If I can ever get Daz Games to play a game of mine, I will be complete in life and I won't have to do anything else. That's the end goal. I'm joking, but it would be really cool. It would be really cool. But saying that, moving on to idea 3, the biggest one out of all of them. Before I get into what this game is, I'd like to quickly say that this is the only game, or the game that I have done the most in terms of come up with a game design plan, come with a gameplay loop. And I think this gameplay loop is pretty solid, but let's just get into it. So let's talk about this. Going back to the graph, something else really jumped out of me that I just didn't notice when I was looking at the horror games and tower defenses. Roguelikes are at the top of the graph. Now, they're one of the least produced game genres, and yet they have an exponentially higher median earning compared to everything else. Now, I'll admit, at first, I didn't really know what a roguelike meant. But after doing some research, I realized that I actually do know what a roguelike is, and most of my favorite games are roguelikes, Thronefall being the best example and the most recent example. Now, the game loop would start off with you in a jungle, and all you have is a tribal hut. So like, this is your castle, this is your place to defend. During the day, you get to build your base, think buildings, defensive towers, farms, but then night falls, and dinosaurs attack from random parts of the forest. Once you've defeated them, and it turns to day again, you can collect their dead bodies, which would just be like some kind of meat, or just some kind of currency they drop, and this meat can be used for trading to get cards. There are 3 types of cards you can get, and this is where roguelike comes into it. There are attack, defense, and farm cards. Defense cards are things that protect your base. Attack cards could be tame dinosaurs, patrolling and fighting aggressors, and farm cards increase your meat earnings. Now, here is the twist. Unlike a lot of the games that currently exist, they will just give you, you survive the night, here's your reward. You've got to do a little bit extra, and this is, again, where the roguelike is coming in, the risk versus reward whole meta. So you can also find extra cards by deforesting the surrounding area. But doing this will increase the number of dinosaurs that will attack you in the night. However, for each piece of forest cleared, you earn A, the extra land to build stuff on, and B, you earn one of each of the 3 type of cards. You get given attack, defense, and farm cards. You get given options of 3, you can only choose 1. The game loop will then continue until you lose, upon which you reset. So if you start the game and you clear the entire forest, which I probably won't let players do, but I'll give them the option to clear like 3 spaces, you physically won't be able to survive that without having progressed naturally. You probably would want to do 1 or 2 a day. And if you're really good and you'll be able to plan in advance, then yeah, you could do 3 and 4. And that's where the player gets given more autonomy within the game. Now, pros and cons. The pros of this game are, out of all of the 3, this has the best chance of making a profit and being a success. The roguelike loop inherently offers massive replayability, and it's at the top of the graph. So as long as you follow, as I saw this in some of the comments, by the way, last video, thank you very much, all of you, thank you very much for the support. The comments were fantastic. There was a lot to learn from. And taking one of those comments, I can't remember which exactly it was, but the sentiment or the message was, take things from already successful games and put them in your game, because it will only go to help your game. So if I do this, then this game has a, not guaranteed, no game has a guaranteed chance of success, but a super likely chance of success. And it's dinosaurs. Everyone loves dinosaurs. I've been playing Ark recently. It's been great. The cons. The other side of this really exciting idea is pretty bad. The scope in this game is a massive factor, just like the first game. Now, unlike the first game, I think the scope on this is actually a lot smaller because there's less shown to account for. And while this might sound similar to the first game, in the first game, there's nothing to do with cards. It's like you'll probably have to go out, chop down some trees to build the defenses, etc. There won't be any cards. So that's not a roguelike. This is a roguelike. That's the main distinction. But the scope here is a lot less. And while it's definitely a larger undertaking than the horror game, it would still take significantly longer than the horror game to develop. So I'm kind of stuck at a crossroads, but I'll come on to what's going to happen with this decision in just one moment. So there you have it. 3 very different game ideas. I say very different, each with their own unique strengths and challenges. I've spent a lot of time mulling each of these over, and it's been a truly fascinating process to really break down what each one entails. And I would just like to say on the record, there was none of this at Powerfall. Powerfall was a game that I started developing and kind of just went with the flow. This game, I am focusing on the ideation part, so I know it's a strong idea from the get-go, rather than just pushing into a game and just hoping that it would do well as development continues. However, as I mentioned, I will not be revealing my final choice just yet. I will say there is one of these games is a pretty much a definite no at this point, and it is between 2 of the games I've mentioned that are massive contenders, and it's basically between the things I'm considering: scope, profitability, if that's even a word, I think it is, and replayability. So obviously scope is how long it will take me to make. Profitability is like, is it going to be worth it to make? And replayability is like, is this something that I actually want to put out there and give to players as a good product and to, enhance the experience of playing games as a whole. But as I said, I'm not going to reveal this here. If you do want to know which game I've chosen, then definitely join the Discord server. I will be announcing it probably next week, and then on the YouTube, I'll be announcing it once I've got the game in development and once things are moving, just so I know I can show things to people and there's something to show for instance. So make sure you're joined up there in Discord, and if you want to be among the first to know, But anyway, thank you all so much for watching and stay tuned for more development updates.